As requested by one of my subscribers, I'm making a video today on a general tutorial on how to do the handstand, and more specifically how I do it and the process that I take in order to make sure that I do it with proper form. So this video is not really for people that are trying to get their first handstand and doing all the progressions that you need in order to build the foundation for it. This is more so for people that can do a handstand but they're not satisfied with their form, or they can only hold it for a few seconds at a time. And I just wanted to go over a few of the tips and tricks that I have within my training and everything that I've been able to implement in order to fix my form. Because when I first started, I had really shitty form and I was in a banana for my first couple months, and I didn't really understand how to engage everything properly and how to really do it with proper form. So I just wanted to go over every single step within the process, going from your hand placement into the kick up, and then when you're actually in the handstand, what to be focused on. So first things first, hand placement. And for me, I like to have my hands about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more. You also want to have your fingers slightly bent, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know. So that way when you go into the handstand, you'll be able to have a much better ability to be able to balance by being able to press in on your fingertips when you're falling forward, and when you're falling backwards, you'll be able to press down on your palms. And if your fingers are bent, it'll be a lot easier to be able to do that and to hold yourself up in the air. Alright, and now getting into the kick up. So for the kick up, I'd recommend two different ways of doing it. You can do it with one leg, or you can do it with two legs at the same time. But the main tip that I have for this is to make sure your hands are already on the ground before going into the actual kick up. Because when I first started doing handstands, I didn't know that principle, and I would start standing up and then I would try to put my hands on the ground and kick up at the same time, and then I would try to stabilize, which does not work very well. So if you want to have a better chance at being able to stabilize when you're in the handstand, I would definitely make sure that you have your hands on the ground first. And when it comes to whether or not you should do the one leg kick up or the two leg kick up, I preferred doing the one leg kick up when I first started, just because I felt as though I was exerting the correct amount of force to be able to get up to that stabilizing point. But I actually prefer the two leg kick up now that I'm a bit further in my journey, just because I feel as though I can engage my core on the way up, which makes it easier to be able to stabilize when I am up there. Alright, and now we're going to talk about what to do when you're actually up in the handstand. So what you guys need to realize is that when you first start out, it's most likely not going to look pretty. Unless you have a background in, say, yoga or another form of training that facilitates doing calisthenics, you're probably not going to have good form, and that's just the nature of getting into this initially. When you're first getting into it, obviously the most important part is being able to understand how to actually balance. So as I already went over, you want to focus on pressing in with your fingertips when you're falling forward and pressing down on your palms when you're falling backwards. So the most important thing at first is to be able to master that, so that way you can focus on other things within the process in order to be able to gain alignment and have everything straight. So the first thing you want to focus on is for sure being able to actually balance and being able to find that point, being able to use your hands in order to keep yourself up there for at least 10 to 15 seconds. So once you have that down, then it's a matter of being able to focus your attention towards what to engage, how to keep everything tight, and then how to keep everything straight. So the next thing you want to focus on would be trying to engage your core. I think that is super important, and that's the foundation to being able to hold yourself up for even longer periods of time. Because the more engaged your core is, the less you have to worry about being able to balance when you're up there. So you're going to spend much less energy and effort trying to press down with your fingertips and trying to press down on your palms in order to keep yourself up. And you'll spend more of that energy towards trying to engage your core, and then you'll be able to kind of find that point and stay at that point for a lot longer. Once you have that down, then you want to focus on having your entire body straight. But in order to have a straight body and to have alignment within your handstand, you need to be sure that you have the flexibility in order to do so. And when I first started, which I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to, I was in a banana, like I already mentioned, which indicates that I did not have proper shoulder flexibility in order to hold a straight handstand. So I'm going to show you guys a little hack, a stretch that I did every single day in order to improve my shoulder flexibility. And what you want to do for this is you want to lay down on the ground on your back, and you want to have everything straight. So you want to have your legs out, and you want to have your arms fully extended out behind your head. You want to try to keep everything on the ground, including your back, because if you try to straighten everything out, you're going to naturally have an arch in your back. So what you want to do is you want to try to close that gap while keeping everything on the ground. So you want to have your arms straight, you want to have your legs straight, you want to keep everything tight, and you need to engage your core and everything else in order to try to close that gap. And it's going to be hard at first, and it's not going to be pretty. You might have a little bit of pain, but the more you do it, if you do it every single day, then you're going to get better at it, and it's going to really help you be able to hold that straight handstand, because it kind of replicates what you do in the air to be able to hold a straight handstand. So you want to close that arch in your back, and then eventually you're going to get better, and it's going to translate to you being able to do the handstand with much better form as well. So once you have that locked in, and once you're able to be very good at being able to balance yourself, you know how to engage your core, you have proper shoulder flexibility, then it's time to move on to being able to engage and tighten all the other body parts in order to have an even straighter, even more controlled handstand. So for that, I would then focus on trying to engage your glutes, engage your legs, and have your arms straight. The main piece of advice that I have is to take it one step at a time, and to not overwhelm yourself with trying to focus on everything at once when you're up in the handstand, because you're going to overwhelm yourself and it's going to be a lot to handle. So what you want to do is focus on one part of the movement first, and then you want to move on to the next, because once you master one part of the movement, you won't have to think about it or focus on it as much, and it'll just become more and more ingrained into you. And then next thing you know, you'll be able to hold a straight handstand and you'll have it down. But you just have to realize that it's going to take a long time. It probably took me about a year and a half to get my first straight handstand, and my form is still not perfect, and I feel like it's always going to be a work in progress. So you just have to realize that when you're on this journey, that you're not going to be able to just watch one video or be able to implement one trick and it's going to come like that. You know, when it comes to shoulder flexibility, like how I already went over, it might take you a few months to be able to really get that in and to be able to hold a straight handstand as a result. So that's just the nature of the game that we're in, and that also makes it that much more rewarding when you are able to unlock a skill or be able to do it to a higher degree. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Once you guys can hold a straight handstand and do it with proper form, then you can move on to doing more advanced skills like the handstand push-up, L-sit to handstand, and doing other cool shit as well. So that's what you want to have down before you get into doing the handstand push-up, because one of my biggest flaws was I tried to go into the handstand push-up too early back when I had bad form. So now I'm in the process of having to relearn how to do the handstand push-up so that I'm straight the whole time and I'm not arching my back. But that can be a whole nother video. So on that note, if you guys have any other topics that you want me to cover or any other tutorials, let me know and I'll be sure to get around to it. But with that, I will leave you guys and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.